Alright, how you doing? And welcome to this, the first video in a series of videos that I'm going to do as I develop Soldier of Fortune 2 Unreal Edition. This is something I've wanted to do for quite a while. I first played the game back in 2002, and ever since then I have had an interest, if not a professional career, in game development. I've always had little side projects that I do in my spare time. Making maps for SoF2 was pretty much the first thing that I did. I made 2 maps back in the day. City of the Fathers was the first map I made, which was a fairly large sniper map, and then a smaller map, the Father's Secret Base, which I'll show you later on. So Soldier of Fortune 2 Unreal Edition, it is my intention to make it multiplayer only. I'm not really that interested in remaking the single player. The single player I quite enjoyed, it was quite good, but it was the multiplayer that I really liked. And so it's the multiplayer that I'm going to concentrate on. As I say, I've done a fair bit of game development in my time, nothing too serious, nothing too big. I have never published a game because, as I say, I'm not a professional game developer. But I have done small things. I've done a lot of work in OpenGL, DirectX. I did some stuff with XNA when it came out, must be 15 years ago by now. And a few years ago I discovered Unity, which I thought, this is really quite good, I quite enjoy this. A few months ago I discovered Unreal Engine. And I thought, wow, this is exactly what I've been looking for. As much as I enjoy coding, and I've done a fair bit of that in my life, it is just so much more convenient, so much more efficient, and so much more enjoyable using Unreal Engine, because a lot of the coding is done for you. And you can then concentrate just on making the game design, game mechanics, that sort of thing. Soldier of Fortune 2 Unreal Edition will be only the second project that I have taken on, that I have started in Unreal Engine. I am therefore not by any means a game developer and certainly not an expert in Unreal Engine. The game will be made in 3 stages as far as I can see. Like all plans, no doubt subject to change at a later date. But so far, stage 1 will be a complete remake of SoF2 multiplayer in Unreal Engine that reproduces the look, the feel and the overall experience of the original Soldier of Fortune 2. Stage 2 will be the addition of any maps, skins, mods, extra functionality and anything else we would have wanted to have in the game, in the original game at that time. Stage 3 will be the complete redevelopment of the user interface and anything else, using the full power and potential of Unreal Engine to bring it up to today's standards. I would also like to keep the original look and feel of the game as some sort of configuration option that can be turned on and off at the user's discretion. So that's a kind of introduction to what I want Soldier of Fortune 2 Unreal Edition to be. A little bit about myself. I am not, as I say, a professional game developer, but I've always done it as a hobby. Back in the day when I used to play Soldier of Fortune 2, I had a clan called the Fathers. I was Father Jack. There were 3 permanent regular members of the Fathers: Father Ted, Father Jack and Father Dougal. We did have other people who would come in occasionally now and again, but there was generally 3 of us. On a Friday night, sometimes Saturday or whatever, we would get some beer. We would go to my mate's house, and in his basement we had the LAN set up, which in those days was, that was quite a thing. It didn't really happen that often in those days. We also had quite a fast internet connection in his house, or 1 meg per second. And me, Father Ted and Father Dougal would get together on a Friday night, get some beer, get a curry, get some pizza or whatever, and just sit down and have a gaming session. And that's pretty much what we did, once a week, maybe once or twice a week, and that's really about it. As I say, I made 2 maps in those days, City of the Fathers and the Father's Secret Base. I'll show you the Father's Secret Base in a minute, but that was pretty much the start of my game development career. I'd done a few things before that, but making those maps was something I really enjoyed, and I used a program called GTK Radiant. So that's just a little bit about me. So let's get started and have a little look at what I've done so far, which isn't much, to be honest. All I've done really is the UI. But I wanted to get something set up in Unreal Engine just so you can see it, just so you can see what it is going to be, just have something to look at. And what I want to do is I want to play real SoF2, the old SoF2, and we'll just have a look just to see, just to show you that if you didn't know it was Unreal Engine, you probably think it was a real game. So let's start SoF2, and I'll quickly show you the map that I made 20 years ago, the Father's Secret Base. Okay, let's have a look. Must have made this map, I don't know what, 2002? Something like that? 2003? I had so many different ideas for maps, but just time, it takes like 9-10 months to make a single map, so I never got to do that many, but I've still got those ideas. I might do it in Unreal. Right, so this is my little wind tunnel. I quite like the wind tunnel. Even sounds like a wind tunnel. Oh. Controls on my laptop aren't so good. And so this is going into like a control room, and infiltration, this is where the briefcase was, and when you picked up the briefcase, Arnold Schwarzenegger would shout, "Get to the chopper." I was a bit of an Arnie fan in the days. Still am, I suppose. "20 years later, they're still watching Predator."
Do it!
Right, let's go. So, it's just like a small underground complex. Nothing in particular special about it, but it's just more an enjoyable experience doing these sorts of things, and making the map rather than expecting it to be, rather than expecting it to be, like, popular. So this is a replica, a remake of the place I used to work at thing. It's actually quite accurate, it's still there. So the idea was it was going to be an airport, so that's your control tower there. That's my truck. I quite like my truck. I was very proud of my truck. Colour scheme could have been a bit better, but yeah. Even sounds like a truck. We'll go up the control tower. That's the helipad with the helicopter sits in infiltration. And that's the map. So that's a hangar, and in the hangar, actually, in the demolition game type, there's a fighter jet that blows up when you detonate the bomb. Place I used to work, and that's the rest of the control tower building, and that's pretty much it. It's just a small map for sort of close quarters battles. Anyway, that's that. So that's the original SoF2 and the map that I made. All I want to do now is just load up what I've got in Unreal Engine, and we'll have a little comparison. And as I say, I don't actually have a map to load yet, all I've got is the UI, but I just want you to look at it and understand that what I'm about to show you is not actually SoF2, and I want you to think, that looks very similar. That if I didn't know, I might actually believe that is actually SoF2, which is the sort of effect that I want. So just before I show you what I've done in Unreal Engine, I want to point out a quick thing. My laptop's not great, and so using Unreal Engine, playing the game, and OBS Studio to record the desktop is overloading it a wee bit. So any jumpiness that you see in the game is because of that, and not actually what I see on the screen. So I have closed Unreal Engine, built and packaged the game, and I'll show you what it's actually like just now. As you can see, John Mullins is a little bit more smoother. Everything appears as it should, not so much jumpiness. Tooltips, everything working. A lot smoother without Unreal Engine operating in the background. So there you go. So I'll start Unreal Engine just now and we'll have a little look at what I've done. Okay. Right, so version 4.27 is the current one, so what I'm using. I'll just quickly start it up. So the same loading screen, and that's the main UI there. As you can see, it looks exactly the same. The reason for that is obviously because I use the same textures. John Mullins there is not the MD3 model, it's just a video that I made that I copied from the actual game. Not all the functionality is there. You get the sound effects because it's the same files, you get the icons, and you get the glow there using the shader system that Unreal uses. The only thing I put in, see if I press the buttons here, you get the noise but it doesn't change because I haven't created that part of the UI yet. Got the tooltips. This is the only page that I've done, and there's a list of maps. So I'll just show you what it does. So all I've done so far is that page to make it look like the original SoF2. What I wanted to do for this video, which I haven't really managed to do yet, is have this UI, you go to the create server page, you select, I was just going to do the first one, Jordan Market Siege, you press the button, gives you the loading screen, moves on to the actual data loading screen, the loading of the files, and then it loads the map, and then I would run through the map, and I was just going to have it as minimal as possible. I haven't managed to get the map loaded yet, and I'll tell you why, because I thought I could just load the BSP file, get the names of the textures, load them in, and that would be it. I'm sure Unreal Engine's capable of that, but what's happened is every time I come across an idea, I think, oh, I want to add that as well. And so I've decided I'll put out this video just now to give you an idea, and I'll explain what I'm going to do, but I'm not going to show you Unreal Engine SoF2UE loading a map and John Mullins running through it. So that's it. So as you can see, it sounds exactly like the original SoF2 as it would, because it's the same sounds and textures. I'll just give you a wee run through of the sort of main thing. So the UI main is the image you just saw there. Right, so that's the create server screen. And that is the sort of main screen. So it's all just the way Unreal Engine does it. You use spatial, horizontal and vertical spacing components to position everything. If you were to compare the original SoF2 and SoF2UE, things are a little bit out of position. There's slight colour change differences and all that sort of thing. I'm not bothered about that because I just want to have the overall experience be like it is the original SoF2, which is what we're going for in stage 1. So that's the main UI. If you go into the graph section, you have what they call code in Unreal Engine, and I absolutely love this stuff. As much as I do like coding, I don't really like C++ that much. I do a lot of assembler programming, but writing a big program in assembler really isn't particularly very easy. I do that for fun. I do C#, but this, once I found Unreal Engine, I had the idea, I'm going to do all my programming now in Unreal Engine. Even if it's not a game, I'm going to do it in Unreal Engine because I absolutely love this. It's absolutely brilliant. So you just have, what's this? Oh, this is a function, set image and map. So yeah, so if you go on to, just to give you an example, so I'm going to the create server screen. So that image there, the image that goes in there is dependent upon the name of the map that's selected. And all that happens in the code is the function runs when you click on a name, and and then the function looks at the name, and if it's one of these, it adds a particular image, and that's it. That's all it does. But I just love these are called blueprints, and I absolutely love them. It's absolutely brilliant. This. So what else? I've got just that function there. Lots of different code doing lots of different things. So let's have a look at something. So that's on hovered for, that's just plays the sound when you hover over a button. What else we got? More playing sounds. What's this? It's quite difficult to do this with touchpad. So event construct is when this UI is created. So this is what happens when UI is created. You have a sequence, it does 0, then 1, then 2, then 3. Opens the source, opens the media file for the game, which is the background music to the game. Second thing it does is shows the mouse cursor because it didn't in the loading screen, and then plays that music, and then goes into another sequence of creating all the tooltips, all the widgets, all the tooltips for all the different buttons and all that sort of thing. What does it do there? I'm still working on that sort of stuff. What's that? Set map list. So that's the list of maps in the create server screen, and then selecting a particular one, whichever one you want to be selected. That's that. So that's the main UI. And what else have we got? So everything else is sort of just separate widgets. They call it. These are called widgets. A component in the UI window is called a widget. So we've got the edit name, which is just a text box. But I wanted to create the text box as a different component because it allowed me to do different things. So that's that. And what else we got? Well, that's just the loading screen. That's the loading. That's the loading of the level. Then we have the loading screen. As I say, the loading of the level is the only place. Loading of the level is the only place is as far as I've got just now. Model select tooltips. Let's look at tooltips. So pretty simple, you know. But the way I did it, I created one tooltip and then I change the text on it every time it's used, so you don't have to create a separate tooltip for every single button. That's pretty much for the UI. Just a couple of things I want to show. As I say, I haven't done too much just now because for the past 2 or 3 weeks I've been looking at the SoF2 map files, BSP files, and working out how to do them. So I'm going to show you what I'm doing there at the moment. I just want to look at another couple of things. Temp is just a backup of stuff that I don't need. Few system objects. That's styles for the edit boxes. That's the movie. That's John Mullins, the model. The movie of the model. This is this is the shaders that give the glow on the icons when you hover over them. As I say, SoF2 used, I think it was the Gould 2.0 shader system. I think that was developed by Raven themselves, so I'm not sure. But I thought I could do the HLSL files from the game. And I looked into it, and I watched a bunch of videos on YouTube, and there's people that are doing that sort of thing, and I thought, well, hang on a minute. Unreal comes with its own material shader system, so let's have a look at that. So I took the icons from the game, and it was a little bit difficult at first because this box here is the sort of material shader itself, and it comes on Surface, that option there, and when you're on Surface, it's got a lot more options. And when you put it on to what we need it on, because we're using it in a user interface, where is it? You lose a lot of the options. So I would have loved, what I was looking to do was emissive color. Emissive color. So when you change that to user interface, where is it? You don't have emissive color, so I had to kind of work out a wee bit, but there's a couple of videos on YouTube that show me how to do it. So all you do is you get a constant 3D vector, you choose a color, and all I did there was go into the game, get the glow the glow to show up and just sample it in, I think it was paint.net or something like that, I can't remember. You add a couple of multiplies, so you take the texture, you take the colour and you multiply them together, put it in final colour, and 15 there is just the brightness or the intensity, and you just kind of mess around with that to get the effect that you wanted. So that then gave me the shaders that I needed to give the glow on the icons at the bottom of the main UI there. And so just to have a little look at that, we will set the value to, so it's at 15, and we'll start SoF2, and that is the effect you get there. To me it looks exactly the same as it does in the SoF2, which is what we want. But, and what's that? That's just images that I've thrown in, and then the base directory, which is the folder structure from the game itself, SoF2. I'm going to keep that structure because I want to obviously make the SoF2UE as compatible as I can with the original SoF2, in the sense that it plays all the files, all the PK3 files, and I also want it to be fully compatible with all existing servers. So the original server software that is still located on like all quite a number of gaming servers throughout the world. I want SoF2UE to be fully compatible with that. So that is all I've actually done so far in Unreal Engine. But for the past 2 or 3 weeks, just have another quick. So John Mullins is a bit jumpy there because it's in sort of debug mode. In fact, hold on, I'll put it into, where's it? Standalone game, see if that's any better. I've set the resolution to, I think, 1024 by 768. Standalone game doesn't seem to adhere to that. As you can see, it's stretched out the textures a wee bit. I'll design the game initially for 1024 by 768 because that gives us the 4.3 aspect ratio those games of in those days were designed for. We'll move on to the 16 by 9 or 1080p and 4K later on, but I'll need to redo the textures for that. But it should be okay, so don't worry. So there we've got the shaders popping up there, and tooltips as well, and that's it. So so that's everything I want to show you in Unreal Engine. I'll quickly close this and we'll move on. So to give a little detail about what I've been doing the past 2 or 3 weeks with the map files, let's go to these are the map files that I have converted from BSP back into map that are for the official maps, the official levels. So there's Finca, Hong Kong 1, Hospital, Jordan 1, that sort of thing. The BSP file is the compiled file that works in the game. As you can see, it's a binary file. So my original idea was to load the BSP file straight into Unreal and hopefully generate the map in the editor window, which I'm sure Unreal could do, but the BSP file used in SoF2 is the old Quake 3 format. So I thought maybe Unreal will do it, maybe it won't. So I had a little look and I found that you can actually convert back from the BSP file to the original map file using the Q3 map program. So the command is the path to Q3 map 2, which is installed as part of GTK Radiant 1.4.0, which we'll show you in a minute. Convert, format, map, and then the path to the BSP file. Game is SoF2, V is verbose, and that's optional. That's just a redirect of the output from the command window to a file. You don't have to do that. So once you've done that, for instance, you've got the Finca BSP, you then get the original map file, which is opened in GTK Radiant. Now, I'm not going to change these files in any way. I don't want to change the original content given to us by created by Raven. The plan is to convert back from BSP back to map and then load the map file into Unreal Engine, and then have what you would have displayed in GTK Radiant displayed in Unreal Engine, and that's the point. So I'm not going to edit these or change them in any way. But let's quickly get GTK Radiant. I've actually got it installed, but I'll show you where to get it. So you just type in GTK Radiant into Google. GTK Radiant is now on iculus.org, and if you want the source code, which I got, it's on GitHub. The original and ID software is there, but there's a guy called Timo who's updated it a little bit and has the latest version. I think Timo used to work at Raven, I'm not sure, or ID. So that is where you get the source code, and just so you know, I've got the download page of Iculus. You can take the latest version if you want, but I wouldn't advise it because the one we want is 1.4.0, the Raven pack, which comes with the SoF2 game files installed. There's your source code if you want it. So let's get GTK Radiant downloaded and installed. .4.0 comes with mapping tools for a number of games, but it's only SoF2 that we want. So the other games just hit next there, and when SoF2 comes up, you have to locate the SoF2 install directory. We'll do a custom install, and all you do is deselect the games we're not using, so Jedi Knight 2, Voyager, and Jedi Academy, and keep Soldier of Fortune 2 ticked. Then hit next. That's fine, and then go. So when you start up the program, it will ask you to decide what game you want to configure it for. Soldier of Fortune, and then hit auto load selected game or start up, and it won't ask you that again. And that's it configured for Soldier of Fortune 2 every time. So as long as it knows where SoF2 is installed, everything should be fine, but we'll take a look at the options anyway. So File, Project Settings, change the single player mapping mode to multiplayer mapping mode, and the base path just needs to be the path to the SoF2 installation. Should you need to change the startup game configuration, you do it in that window there. So let's load a few textures. Common ones will do. GTK Radiant is now opening up the PK3 files that come with the game, extracting all the textures in the common folder, and loading them into the program. So that's all the textures on the right there. Anyone who's used GTK Radiant or any mapping program will be familiar with this. So then next we open one of the map files that we decompiled. So we just use Jordan because that's the one I'm intending to use in SoF2UE. So once the map's open, at the top right there you get the 3D view of what you see, of all the brushes and all the objects, the lights, the models and stuff, textures in the bottom right, and on the left hand side there is the 3 planes, XZ, YZ and XY. Been a while since I've done GTK Radiant, and I'm on my laptop just now, so the controls are slightly different. So we'll zoom out to get a picture of the full map. And so what my plan is, I want to make a SoF2 plugin, an Unreal Engine SoF2 plugin. And so I will make this plugin once it's done available on GitHub, so you can all have a shot and add stuff to it and whatever. But the idea is that I want the process of adding a PK3 file from the game to Unreal Engine to be as automated as possible. So what would like to happen is you take your PK3 file, any PK3 file, doesn't have to be one that comes with the game, and you drag and drop it into the content browser in Unreal Engine. The plugin then does everything you need to start using that asset in Unreal Engine. So converts the BSP file to a map and loads the map file into the Unreal Engine editor, so all the brushes, all the buildings, all the walls, all the objects, lights, models and stuff are then created in the Unreal Engine editor. So it's like an actual Unreal Engine project. I want that to be completely automated. Also, I'm going to write a MD3 file converter so we can convert the models, the MD3 models to FBX, or maybe some sort of runtime compiles the MD3 models at runtime or something. I don't know. We'll see how that goes. So basically, everything you see here in GTK Radiant, I want to recreate in Unreal Engine simply by dragging and dropping the PK3 file into the content browser. There will be a number of configuration options at your disposal, such things like the file and folder structure, where the files are kept, all that sort of stuff, default values for different things, that sort of thing, So once I've got the SoF2 plugin created, I'll add to it as I develop the game. But once I've got it created, I'll put the binaries and the source code on GitHub, and you can all have that and do your own thing with it. But the idea is I want everything to be as fully automated as possible. So basically, you install Unreal Engine, you install SoF2, you point the plugin to the install directory of SoF2, and it does everything for you. It'll extract all the textures, extract all the BSP files, all the models, everything, convert everything it needs to convert, and have it all open for you in the editor as if it was a genuine Unreal Engine project. That's my plan. But let's have a look now at an actual map file for a second. So we'll just use jordan1.map. So the structure of the map file is, as you can see there, you have the entities. Entity 0 is generally all the buildings and the walls and all the floors sort of thing, but there is stuff after that. And all the entities after that is generally all the models, all the different brushes that have a particular functions, like ladders and things that block the player and all that sort of triggers, game type stuff. The information at the top there is just information about that particular level. The sky colour, information about game types, infiltration, team names, all that sort of stuff. An actual brush is described, as you can see, by 6 faces. So you've got 6 sets of 3 points. The stuff on the right about the textures you don't have to worry about just now. There are 6 faces to each. If you imagine a brush to be a cube, sort of basic shape, it's got 6 faces. So each face can be described by 4 points, and each point has 3 vertices. Each point has 3 values in the X and XY coordinate system. So XYZ is 1 point or vertex, 1 corner, and then you should have 4, possibly 5 of them, depending how you describe the face. But as you can see, each face in the map file only has 3 vertices, and I was a bit confused by this at first. But I got the source code for GTK Radiant, and I looked at it, and what it does is it creates like a triangle with 3 points. And then from there, it extends that plane, that face out in an infinite plane. And it does that for each face. So what you then have is 6 faces extended out in an infinite plane at the angle that they sit at. And so all 6 faces will then intersect. And anything beyond the point of intersection is cut away, and you're left with just the shape. And I thought that's a kind of interesting way to do it. But it seems to work, so it's what they decided to do, and it seemed to work, so fair enough. Anyway, the plugin I make for Unreal Engine will read this data from the map file and create all this in the Unreal Engine editor as if it were a genuine new Unreal Engine project. So that's the idea. That's what I want to do. Everything as automated as possible. I don't quite understand what these patch def 2 stuff is. I think it's, so there's Soldier of Fortune version 1, and then there's version 1.01, 02 and 03 being the gold edition. I think the patches might be the stuff that came in the updates, possibly. I'll need to work that out. And then the other entities after Entity 0. Entity 0 generally is all the brushes that create the buildings and stuff. All the other entities are every night, so there's going to be a lot of lights, so they can be created in Unreal Engine. There's a model there, walls_light1.md3, so all these MD3 files will have to be converted into an FBX file, and I'm hoping to automate that as the same as everything else. Then we have game type stuff. Game type_player, I think, is a starting position, pickups, different weapons, health, and that's it. So that's the structure of the map file, and I want Unreal Engine to create all that automatically. So what you see in the Unreal Engine editor window is exactly what you would see in GTK Radiant. That's the idea. Just a couple of other things. As I say, the game will be made in 3 stages. First of all, a complete remake of the original Soldier of Fortune 2 up to Gold Edition, as it would have been installed from the CD with everything on it, fully compatible with the original SoF2, in particular existing server software that is in existence somewhere in the world today, but no third-party add-ons, maps or mods, all that sort of stuff. That comes in stage 2. I'll also create a standalone server app as part of the process, but I need to work out how Unreal Engine does all its networking stuff, what we need to keep from the original and what I need to add in, that sort of thing. I don't actually have the original server app. It'll be on the internet somewhere, I'll get it. Obviously I'll make a Windows version of that, but I'll do a Linux version of that as well, because it's obviously you're going to want to put it on your server, so I'll make a Linux version for that too. The original SoF2 will probably not be compatible with the SoF2UE server app, but I'll make sure that the SoF2UE will be compatible with the old server app, so that you can use, as I say, use all the old servers that are still out there. If I remember correctly, SoF2 Multiplayer EXE had the Raven Master server hard coded into it, and every now and again that server goes down, and I'm not sure when it's actually come back up. There was somewhere online, I can't remember who, 1FX or 1DFX did added in their master server and replaced the Raven one and gave out their MPEXE. What I'll do for SoF2UE is I'll create the ability for you to add a list of a wee text file or something that's in the game directory, and you just add master servers to it, and you can have as many as you like. We'll do that. So at the completion of stage 1, I would like to think that what we had would be indistinguishable, at a minimum indistinguishable, from the original SoF2 20 years ago. Hopefully better. Stage 2 is the addition of anything and everything that we would have liked to have included in the game back in the day. So built-in TeamSpeak, all the maps, all the mods, all the skins, all the commands that the mods added that didn't come with SoF2. I won't add the mod per se, as it were. I'll take the commands and the functionality the mods added, and I'll add that into SoF2UE. I don't quite know what we're going to do with Punkbuster yet, but Punkbuster was obviously an advantageous thing back in the day. I'll have a look at what games do these days, and we'll do that, and we'll do it in Unreal Engine. We'll see how that goes. And obviously, if there is interest for this sort of thing, I'll set up a website. I'll do a bit. I'm not great with social media, but I'll get a website. I'll get somewhere set up where we can discuss ideas, and anyone that suggests anything that I like or is popular, we'll add that in. At the end of stage 2, we will have a fully working, fully compatible version of SoF2UE, which I might call SoF2 version 1.04. At that point, I would consider this project a success. That is quite a way off. I'm not really bothered about that just now, but at that point, I would consider this project a success. However, stage 3 is something that I'm really kind of interested in, because that's a complete redevelopment of the look, feel, sound of SoF2 using the full power and potential of Unreal Engine. I would want the SoF2 Unreal Edition experience created by the end of stage 2 to be available as a configuration option to be used and implemented at the user's discretion. So you can revert back to the original look and feel at any time. So you can have the new feel. I also have the idea of like themes, skinning, and all that sort of stuff, so that in the past you could make a skin for a gun and a model and that sort of thing. I want the entire UI to be able to be reconfigured to what you want it to be. That's an idea. And of course, in stage 3, anything Unreal Engine can do can be added into the game. That's what I want. What happens at the end, if there is interest in this, and there's a lot of interest, I want everyone to be able to contribute, because Unreal Engine is free. I want everyone to be able to download it and create whatever they want for this. So we'll see what happens and see how that goes, but that is ultimately my aim. So, moving forward from here, I have one question. Is this of interest to you? Are you interested in this? And if the answer is yes, then excellent. If there isn't too much interest, then I'm going to do it anyway. I'll just do it quietly in my own way. If there is interest, I will, as I say, set up a place for us to discuss and communicate ideas. I'll get a website. I'm not too great with social media. I've got a Facebook page. Obviously, I've got YouTube, GitHub, where I'll be putting all the source code that I want you all to have. I've got a Steam account, and there's an email address there as well. But if there is an interest and you want to contribute to it, then there's a couple of ways you can do it. Number one, and primarily, remake all the old maps, all the old skins, all the old textures, all that sort of stuff in Unreal Engine. You don't have to make it an exact copy. You can do whatever you like. Get everything redone. All the old maps we used to love, Hell's Bells, High Wire, all that sort of stuff. Get them redone in Unreal Engine and looking like they're made in Unreal Engine. That's what I want you all to do. I was going to say something else there. If you can, and there's no obligation, and you want to, you could help us out financially, because the laptop I'm using just now, it's a tough game, an Asus Tough Gaming FX 505DY or something like that. It's fine for doing small projects, and it's not a bad laptop, but especially moving on to stage 3, when you start using the full potential of Unreal Engine, I'm going to need something a bit bigger. The desktop that I've got isn't really a gaming machine at all. It's not even got like an NVIDIA graphics card. It's got an Intel onboard thing or something. I don't even know. It's a mini ITX. What is that? Intel Celeron N3160 or something. I don't know. Anyway, it was actually originally a file server. I used it to store my files, watch films, and that sort of stuff. And I use it now for like I play like a few games on it. It does run games, but not very well. If you keep all the graphics settings though, if I'm going to do some high-end game development, I'm going to need a new desktop. So if you can, and you'd like to, and you don't have to, there is no obligation, you can help out through Patreon or PayPal. Patreon is a site that allows content creators to interact with their fans and their fan base in such a way that their fan base can contribute to financially to their projects monthly. It's all done through PayPal as well. A more direct method obviously is PayPal. So that's my Patreon address there, and that's my PayPal address. It's all Aeon AKF. If you can, excellent, thanks very much. I'll quickly show you actually. So that's my Patreon page. As I say, membership level is up to you. £5, £10, £15 per month. There's lots of different things that you'll get for that, and there's a bit more information about the project and that sort of thing there. So that's my Patreon page. So we'll have a look at my Facebook page as well. Facebook.com/AeonAKF, and that's it there. I can be contacted through Facebook. All my details are there too, email address, that sort of thing. So that's about it. And of course, paypal.me/AeonAKF. So that's my paypal.me page. If you can, excellent. If not, it's okay. Don't worry about it. Ultimately, I am making this so that people can play the game. So if that's what you want to do and you're interested in the project, by all means just keep up, join the discussion, do what you want, and just play the game when it's created. As for the timescale, we strive to recreate the experience, not achieve a deadline. As they said at Black Mesa, whenever it's done. Okay, I'm not bothered about timescale because I enjoy doing this. I love creating in Unreal Engine. It is unbelievably enjoyable to do. So I'm not bothered about how long it takes. If there is an interest, then let me know. So I will check the comments. I will check the likes, all that sort of stuff on Facebook and YouTube and all that sort of stuff. And if there's something you want to add, something you want to contribute, then just get in touch. So that's pretty much it. That's what I've got done so far. As I say, it's not a short-term project. I'm looking forward to doing this just slowly, steady until we get there. And if you are interested, then let me know. So, thank you for listening. And until next time, see you later.